Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest Chapter 125 is currently out, and I have to say, this chapter really did hype me up for everything that's going on, and even ties in some plot threads from previously in the story. So it honestly sets a lot of stuff up and gives us some answers that we honestly kind of needed, and we get introduced to new characters. So I'm actually really happy with this, and I'll get into all the nice details once I get into the review. But if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and shows you guys like the Fairy Tail content on the channel. I want to try and keep these chapter reviews going for as long as I possibly can, especially now since it's actually feeling like we're building up to another big arc. So let's just see how things go. Without further ado, let's hit the intro and get right into the video. So chapter 125 of Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, the Study Hall of Saber. And we actually make it to Sabretooth. We actually get to see the greatest library in all of Fiore, as Wendy and especially Lucy are kind of like geeking out over all of the books that are in this library. And so, yeah, that's honestly something that's really cool. Sting ends up saying that basically books from every corner of the world end up here in the Sabretooth library, which is honestly really cool because even Giltania books are there, so it actually helps with their searching. And they even have like a little Google search feature too, so you can just type in books and their names and topics so they can actually fly towards you. And Natsu kind of use this to search up Lucy's book. He's kind of happy about it, but literally admits, yeah, I haven't read it yet. And Lucy's kind of like embarrassed and also glad that her book is in one of the biggest libraries in the world, so I'd be pretty happy about it. But yeah, they have to be very specific with how they type in what they want to search for, otherwise just get like a 1,000 books shining all at once, so they have to narrow everything down. Natsu's just trying to goof around with Lucy, trying to keep him in check, and Gray's seemingly trying to find books on how to treat women, more specifically Juvia. So yeah, his feelings for her are definitely growing and growing every day, but I think the more recent arc made him want to do more for her, so I'm happy with that. But then someone off screen tells them to just be quiet since in the library, and it's Sorano. As we see, she's actually a part of Sabretooth now. I mean, it makes sense. Crime Sorcier was basically pardoned for all their crimes thanks to them helping against the fight against Zeref and Alvarez, so they were all basically free to go join other guilds. And it makes sense for Sorano to join Sabretooth since her sister Yukino is there, which is honestly pretty sweet. Yukino basically tells them to be quiet and act like they're in a library, and Gray all of a sudden strips down in his underwear again, stating, "Why are you in a library in that outfit?" with Happy off screen being like, "You're one to talk." But yeah, Sorano basically just says, yeah, you can use the library however you want, but Sting just talks like it's not for her to decide since he is the guild master. And she brings up the topic of Jalal, which Urza said that he'll be there any minute now, he's already on his way. And apparently Sorano was the one that asked for Jalal. And I like how Urza's stating that they don't have to go through her if they want to get in touch with Jalal, but the reason she did that is because it also has to do with Fairy Tail as well. So Urza's going to go off with Sorano and discuss things, so she basically just leaves Lucy, Wendy, and everybody else to search for the books. But Sting ends up going like, just make sure you don't make a mess of anything, and that's especially you, Natsu. And the minute he turns around, Natsu literally has a bunch of books on the ground, he's just drawing all over them. I love how much of an idiot Natsu is and how he tends to act like a child half the time. It's honestly kind of hilarious. And then, I gotta admit, the comedic timing was honestly on point with this one. And I also like this offhanded joke that Minerva states that if you make a ruckus, I'll just teleport you into the basement. And Natsu's already gone, so that's honestly kind of hilarious. But we then go over to the discussions between Sting, Sorano, Jalal, and Urza. And, well, Sorano's basically just trying to embarrass Jalal and Urza, asking if they're like together, do they want kids and stuff like that, and they're basically just outright denying the relationship. And honestly, Sorano is trying to, well, seduce Sting, but yeah, Sting's just not having any of it. But since Sting is basically just ignoring Sorano's advances, she's like, oh, do you like my sister or even Minerva maybe? But Sting just shoots her down being like, right now I'm just focused on Natsu. So yeah, he's literally just no romantic feelings right now. I'm just going to focus on trying to be Natsu right now. especially since he basically lost an arm wrestling competition to Natsu in the last chapter. But yeah, now they finally get down to business, and it's about the White Wizard that Jalal was talking about and looking for at the very start of 100 Years Quest. And so they basically go over the information that they learned from the previous arcs. That was actually an Exceed named Toka from an entirely different world, Alentar, and she ended up being assimilated with a white magic mage called Faris, and she ended up coming to this world. And in order to try and save her world with the magic that's overflowing there, she asked for she basically used the power of the White Wizard in this world for that reason, to try and like save her world. Especially taking advantage that the leader of Rebellion, the basic organization / cult that was worshipping the White Wizard, kind of went missing, so she kind of just took the opportunity and became the head of it there for her own ends. But Sorno says that that's what she wanted to talk about. The White Wizard said to rival Zeref and the true founder of Rebellious. Sorno knows where she is. Joel says it's not as much of a threat as it was with Toka. It's not like she's actively using Whiteout. Which, yeah, to be fair, it's not exactly any real threat at the moment, from what it seems. But Sorno kind of basically says there's more to the story, so they should probably listen. Stating that the head is in the Gold Owl Guild, an alchemy guild in Giltina. So, yeah, that was the guild that basically interfered in the previous arc, basically trying to get the Dagra cores. So, Urza is just shocked to hear that the Golden Owl is basically involved with the White Mage, so that's something to think about. But Sorno basically says that they'll find the leader of that cult in Golden Owl. And then the next page, we get the reveal of the White Wizard, Athena. So we actually get, literally like 3 chapters after the name is dropped by Selene, that the ancient powerful weapon similar to the Faces is the White Wizard that is said to have rivaled Zeref, Athena. And my god, is this design really, really cool. I like the whole android-like design. It's obvious that maybe Mashima basically like wanted to implement something like that, like his Eden Zero android designs into Fairy Tail, with now introducing alchemy, so he had the artist draw it in that similar fashion. And I honestly really like it. It's a really cool design. But this shocks Urza because they honestly were looking for Athena, a weapon capable of destroying the 5 dragon gods. And yeah, she is actually the weapon, not named after the weapon, but she is the weapon, and she's both that weapon and the White Mage, stating that she's a doll made with alchemy, a literal living doll. So not only do we get introduced to Athena, a living weapon, but we now get introduced to 2 more characters. We see God Serena acting like God Serena, basically trying to hit on these 2 new characters. These characters are the Signario sisters. So honestly, already, I love their designs already. I'm curious what the horns are about. Are they dragons? Are they demons? Or is it just an aesthetic choice? I'm honestly really curious. And yeah, I just really like their designs. So yeah, we have Rozo, I think I'm pronouncing the name correctly, and Eni. So I do kind of like that we're getting introduced to literally like multiple new characters all at once in this chapter, setting up Golden Owl to be the main antagonist for the next arc or 2. So I'm honestly looking forward to it. But yeah, Eni is basically just wondering why they have even a wizard, a revived wizard, in an alchemy guild. It kind of hurts to comprehend. But Athena says that the paths of magic and alchemy have something in common. And Rozos basically says that Athena is basically a wizard that was just made from alchemy. So yeah, they have a connection. But Eni being very angry due to Serena's, failure in the previous arc, is being like, she basically just wants to destroy him for not getting the Dagger core. And she reports to their master. And this master, in shadow, basically says, don't worry, there's other replacements for the Dagger cores. Things that are required to complete Athena. As Athena says, I look forward to it. With the final page of the chapter revealing the Master of Gold Owl named Duke Barbario. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. As he says, once Athena has been completed, all 5 dragon gods will become my servants. End of the chapter. So, I honestly enjoyed this chapter. The first majority of this chapter was just goofy fun with Fairy Tail in a giant library where they're not supposed to, well, screw anything up, as they find information on Athena and the dragon gods. as well as Urza and Jalal basically figuring out that the weapon that Urza and Selene are looking for is basically a part of the Gold Owl Alchemy Guild. So now they're going to have to come into contact and fight the Alchemy Guild. And we get introduced to the master of the Alchemy Guild, Athena herself. These two sister characters who look really cool. And I'm curious to see, because they do seem like the high-ranking members and the strongest members of that guild. God, Serena's still there, but hopefully he does more than just try and beat one character. I want to see him fight a lot more. But now we're also getting information that there's something other than the Dagger cores that could actually be used to complete Athena, and that's also why they ended up going and attacking Daggermog. It was because it wasn't really like a treasure, it was because it was meant to complete Athena. So I'm very curious. And also, the Master of Gold Owl has an eye patch. And if we go back to Grimoire Heart, Hades also had an eye patch. So my connection is, he is going to be a badass, and also going to be incredibly hard to beat. Hopefully that doesn't get screwed up, but the track record in Fairy Tail with eye patch characters is basically the golden rule. They will be the strongest character you will face up until this point, and they will be awesome. Granted, we don't really got Hades for that, but let's hope for 2 for 2. But either way, this is a really good chapter, and I honestly really enjoyed it. I cannot wait to see how Fairy Tail progresses the story a little bit further, and just how we're going to deal with Athena, and what Athena's true powers actually are, and what the Dagger core replacement is going to be. Honestly, there's a lot to basically look forward to, and I really do look forward to seeing what Fairy Tail has in store for us in the future. But what did you guys think of this chapter? What do you think is going to happen next, and how do you think the following arcs are going to play out? Leave your thoughts, opinions, and theories in the comments section down below. And once more, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys support the channel and like the Fairy Tail content that I do. But with all that said and done, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have an awesome day.